Well, anytime there's violence, a lot of parents struggle to find the right things to say to their children at home.
And with the massacre in Colorado, this is even more evident than ever. Joining us now is Dr. Laura Saunders from the Institute of Living. Doc, we've been here before, and unfortunately, things haven't changed. And there's still that question, how do we talk to our children about this?
Right. Happy Wednesday. Yes, we have been here before. And interestingly, except for the Capitol riots back in January, we haven't had to talk about any of this stuff. It's been the benefit of dealing with a global pandemic, but now we're back immersed in this. This only compounds the trauma, the complex trauma that we've been dealing with for a year, the losses, the changes, the isolation. So this is really hard. This really kind of shakes things up for people. I always worry about the most vulnerable individuals. It's impossible to totally shield children, but we do like to take a developmental approach, keep as much information away from young kids because they don't have the ability to process it, and create dialogue and conversations with some of the older kids.
So, two questions. What's the cutoff? Like, what's young, under what age, that maybe we just don't talk about what's happening in the news, especially if they haven't seen it, we don't bring it up? Or do we ask them, have you heard anything? Do you want to talk? And the other thing is, how do we direct that conversation in a constructive way?
Those are great questions. So I think under 8 is when you just, if they're not bringing it up, you can say, is there anything you've heard about in school today, or anything you heard about that you have any concerns or worries about? You can ask a really open-ended question. If they say no, then you just go with it. The guideline when talking, especially with the younger kids, is just answer the question. A lot of times adults, the kids will ask a question and then adults really feel like they have to go all out to answer the question when they really just wanted an answer to that specific question. It is, in some of these issues, it's about opening up the dialogue around racial discrimination and hate speech and bias and implicit bias. Implicit bias is coming out even more. It was, in fact, in the part of the Attorney General confirmation. Implicit bias is that unconscious aversion to a group of people, usually based on stereotypes. So it's bringing some unconscious negative thoughts and negative attitudes into conscious awareness. So we need to talk about some of these biases because that's what's fueling some of this behavior. And
you say to focus on what you have control over as opposed to what you don't have control over.
Yes, I like to provide not promises. I can't promise that nothing bad will happen, but I can provide assurance that I will do the best that I can, that our authorities, our school administrators, our police, our firefighters will do the best that they can to keep us safe, but you can't promise anything. What I do have control over is doing those things that keep me safe. What I don't have control over is that unexplained event that's just a bad thing that happens. Right. I think it's, in terms of calling each other out when we act in a biased manner, I don't actually think we need to give our kids much permission to call us out on things because I love to do that. But to find opportunities to have these conversations and these dialogues, because these are really important. And to have those gun control conversations, I know that's sometimes a taboo topic, but so important to have these conversations about what can we do? What can we do at home? Because that's really all we have control over.
And kids, I think, are getting exposed to so much more because of social media. They're on TikTok. They're hearing about, oh, you should never say this word and never say that word, which is all good stuff. But sometimes maybe they don't have the context. And then how do you handle talking about these big topics like racial discrimination?
So that's a good point, Kara, because a lot of things happen on social media, on a lot of the different apps. Even if you don't want your kids to be exposed to it, if they have any access to that, they're going to get exposed. So I do think, not that you always want it to be dinner time conversation, but I do think, opportunities when you're in the car or sitting and having dinner to bring these things up. What do you think about this? I always like to ask, what are your friends saying about this? Because often your child's less reluctant to talk about themselves, but they're a little more willing to talk about what their friends are saying. Open up the conversation, try to provide information, but sometimes that means as the parent getting information yourself, right? Getting information, understanding what is bias, what is discrimination, what are these things, and how do we then deal with them? Because we have a pretty serious problem in this country and we really need to go at it head on. So the more we talk about it, the better it gets.
And we only have about 20 seconds, but, you know, be kind to each other. That's the motto here.
That's the bottom line. Be kind, no matter someone's race, religion, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation. Words matter.
Words matter.
Words
I know
matter.
we sometimes so much focus just on the physical of never hit, never this, but we need to teach our kids that words really matter too.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Doc. We appreciate it. Good to see you.